In the luminous court of Mithila, the venerable king Janaka holds his seat as a throne of moral authority, while before him steps the sage Ashtavakra, whose very presence transforms the marble floors into a living scripture. In that sacred exchange, the dialogue begins, each breath a bridge between sovereign wisdom and timeless truth, echoing through the hallowed chambers where destiny and enlightenment meet. The scene captures the Guru's words flowing directly into the disciple's mind, each syllable a conduit of non-dual insight that bypasses intellectual mediation and lands as lived truth. It is not a lecture, but an immediate infusion of realization, where the teacher's presence becomes the mirror in which the seeker sees the self reflected without distortion, allowing wisdom to be received not through study or reasoning, but through the simple act of listening, thereby establishing an unbroken line of transmission that carries the essence of non-duality from one heart to another. I speak of the self, unbound by every pair of opposites, no longer caught in the swing of pleasure and pain, joy and sorrow, form and emptiness. It stands untouched, a single shining awareness that knows no division. In this pure consciousness there is no I wrestling with you, no subject seeking an object, for the very ground of being is singular and indivisible. All dualities dissolve when one rests in this unbroken light. Where the mind ceases to label, separate, or judge, only awareness remains, luminous and complete, inviting every seeker to awaken to its infinite, undivided presence. I realize that what I have called me is not a separate fragment at all. It is the very ground of being that underlies everything Brahman itself. In this realization, there is no room for any distinction between self and other. Autarky of existence to uphold, the individual soul, jiva, dissolves into the universal reality, without losing its own luminous presence. All notions of separate identity fade away, leaving only one undivided consciousness that knows itself as both subject and object. In this light, I am not a limited being who seeks something external. I am the boundless awareness that has always been whole, complete, and unmistakably identical with the ultimate reality. The ocean stretches infinite and unbroken, a single expanse of water that knows no divisions. Yet when it lifts itself into a crest we call a wave, each rise seems to be its own separate entity, different in shape, timing, and motion. In that fleeting surge, the wave appears distinct from the sea. But beneath the surface, it is nothing more than the ocean's own movement, an apparent form arising only because of temporary conditions. As the wave collapses back into foam and returns to stillness, the illusion of countless separate beings dissolves, revealing that what we perceive as many individual ripples is merely one undivided reality, taking on ever if changing shapes. Multiplicity, then, is a fleeting dream woven from the ocean's own breath. I have cast aside every ritual, every prescribed rite, for they hold no power over the truth I pursue. Liberation is found not in external observance, but in the pure knowing of my own self. I turn inward and ask what is not me, stripping away every layer that claims ownership of flesh and breath. I see the body as a collection of sensations, skin, bones, and movement, yet it does not constitute my true self. I watch thoughts arise in the mind, like passing clouds. They are fleeting constructs, not the core of who I am. With each quiet exhale, I release the identification, I am this. Letting go of cravings, fears, memories, and images that try to define me, by repeatedly saying, not this, to every attribute that seeks to bind me. Whether physical form or mental narrative, I dissolve the false attachments and uncover the pure awareness beneath. True freedom arrives the moment you lift the veil of Maya that shrouds hidden reality. For in seeing through illusion, you step out of the confines of fear, desire, and identification with form. The mind's grip loosens as you recognize that what once seemed solid is merely a fleeting projection, and behind it lies an unchanging awareness that was always yours. This insight dissolves the chains of bondage, not by force, but by understanding that the veil was never real to begin with, allowing your consciousness to rest in pure perception where nothing obscures truth any longer. Discrimination is the sharp tool that separates what truly endures from what merely appears. It cuts through the veil of fleeting impressions and reveals the immutable core beneath changing forms. In every moment, we encounter sensations, thoughts, and choices. And through clear discernment, we ask which are rooted in essential truth, while the rest remain transitory shadows. This faculty does not rely on external validation, but on an inner clarity that remains steady when circumstances shift, allowing us to see beyond surface deceptions. By continually exercising discrimination, we train ourselves to align our perception with what is fundamentally real, distinguishing lasting reality from momentary appearance. Sahaja is presented as the effortless, intrinsic condition of existence that blossoms exactly when the mind releases its grasp on false notions and ignorance dissolves, allowing the self to rest in a state that is both spontaneous and wholly natural without any need for contrived effort. Detachment, or vairagya, is presented as the essential condition that allows inner freedom and realization to arise. When desire loosens its grip on body and mind, the spirit ceases its restless striving and rests in quiet awareness. In this state of non-attachment, the self no longer clings to external sensations or internal cravings, creating a clear space where true freedom can be experienced and the deeper reality can be realized without obstruction. Thus, detachment is not merely desirable, but indispensable. For only by releasing attachment can one open the inner doorway to liberation and authentic realization. Attachment to the physical form and the incessant chatter of the mind creates the invisible chains that bind you. For every desire, fear, or identification with flesh, becomes a knot tightening around your true self. When you release this grip, letting go of the need to define yourself through skin, muscle, or fleeting thoughts, the weight lifts and suffering, which was merely the echo of that bondage, fades into silence, leaving only the spacious freedom of pure awareness. Liberation is not a slow dawning that creeps across consciousness. It arrives as a sudden flash, an instant shift in perception, where all layers of identification drop away and pure awareness emerges in one breath. In that moment, the mind ceases its habitual narratives and sees reality without filters, collapsing every prior notion of self into immediate presence. It does not require years of incremental progress or gradual refinement. It happens when the seeker stops searching and simply recognizes the truth that was always there, rewiring perception forever. In quiet contemplation, I turn my gaze inward, asking relentlessly, who am I beyond name, form, and thought? Each question becomes a mirror that strips away the layers of identification until only pure awareness remains, revealing the true self as the unchanging witness beneath all transient experiences. When words dance upon the page, arranging theories into elegant patterns, they may satisfy the curious mind, yet leave the heart untouched. Such reasoning alone cannot pierce the veil that hides truth. For only the lived breath of realization can awaken what speculation merely sketches. I stand in the center of all that unfolds, feeling each event pass through me without leaving a trace upon my inner stillness. No praise can lift me higher, no blame can bring me lower, for I have learned to rest within a calm that does not waver when triumph or loss arise, recognizing them as fleeting scenes upon the screen of existence and allowing my spirit to remain untouched, serene and unshaken by any circumstance. I feel the soft current of compassion well up within me, not as something I force or cultivate with effort, but as an effortless ripple that spreads outward when my own self-realization settles into pure stillness. It moves through every gesture and word without any hidden desire to be seen, praised, or rewarded, allowing me to hold the hand of another, offer a listening ear, or share quiet strength, simply because I stand as seeker, heart restless in search of truth. Yet I am also the sage whose mind rests in quiet certainty. This duality creates a paradox, where every step forward is both inquiry and realization, where questioning becomes contemplation, and aspiration merges with presence. In this tension I hold the role of seeker who seeks nothing, and the sage who already knows. Now, dear seeker, let every thought dissolve like mist before sunrise. Surrender all mental activity and settle into the unbounded field of pure consciousness that lies beyond words, images, and sensations. In this silent expanse, you are no longer the thinker or the observer, but simply awareness itself. Still, luminous, untouched by any modification. Allow yourself to rest here, fully aware yet without effort as the infinite self. Presence embraces you completely. the Ashtavakra Gita stands as a compact guide that points the seeker toward non-dual realization achieved through immediate, unmediated insight. It strips away layers of doctrine and invites the mind to rest directly in pure consciousness, offering a clear path where knowledge replaces ritual. Attachment dissolves, and the truth is seen without mediation.